Hey pioneers, and welcome back. Our last video was all about verticality. We made our mega factory bigger, added a good skyline, and after some work we already have supercomputer and radio control units. But I ran into some trouble, and that is my power grid. So let's tackle that issue. Here we are, back at my main base. In our last video, something sad happened. Even though my power grid might sound that it's working alright, it's not. Right now I've got my Hyperchip network off, and if I turn it on, I switch from 18 gigawatts to 25. That's a lot, and I'm in a power deficit. That means that I need to turn it on every time I want to use it and turn it off, and that's kind of annoying. Nico is lazy. I don't like doing that. So I think that we can't postpone this any further. I need a new power plant. So, what's the deal? Ideally I wanted to do nuclear. I find it extremely interesting, at least. I never done anything on this phase, neither rocket fuel nor nuclear. But I was checking and I need turbo motors, which I don't have. Fused modular frames, which I don't have, cooling systems, I also don't have, that they need heat sinks, that I also don't have. So I think that it's going to take a long time to be able to do, well, waste-free nuclear power. I could do nuclear power, but I don't want to start hoarding a lot of nuclear waste. When I do nuclear, it will be clean. So I think that I will end up doing rocket fuel that I wanted to avoid because I don't find that interesting. But well, on the other hand, rocket fuel is also good as for vehicles, for drones. Eventually I will use the drones and you need to power them. So all in all, it's not that bad of an idea. And I have already been doing some numbers. I was really surprised by rocket fuel. I start from 150 oil. This is an impure node. And I end up with 600 rocket fuel. That's dumb. And I decided to package half of it for future drones or whatever. And only half of the rocket fuel I do out of an impure node ends up giving 18 gigawatts. Power is extremely easy to make. To craft, I don't know, insert the correct verb over there. So well, this is the plan. It doesn't seem to be a huge factory. Then I set up a new objective for myself. I want, when I finish the game, to have every single item automated. So for example, this also gives me polymer resin, and I will be taking a small amount and sending it to the dimensional depot. So that's one item checked out of the list. And the rest, well, here I place rubber. It might be rubber or plastic. I need to search which is the one that I need the most. And same for compacted coal. I get compacted coal as a byproduct, and I'm not using it to create anything. So I will send a tiny amount to a dimensional depot, and the rest I will burn it. Which is kind of stupid. 787 megawatts, that's nothing. But well, I've got compacted coal, let's use it. So all in all, this is a extremely small rocket fuel power plant, but it gives me 18 gigawatts. I reached to this point in the game with only one power plant that gave 20. And I'm almost doing the same with something that's way smaller, but with better technologies. I don't know, I think it's a little bit absurd. Why would you even do nuclear if this is so effective? If I started with a pure node and didn't package it, I would have, I don't know, more than this. So well, we've got a plan. Let's move forward. Well, let's do some brainstorming. I decided that I want to finish everything in the game on the same mega factory, so we will be doing it in the desert. But apparently the desert is not the best place to make rocket fuel. I was thinking that I can extend this belt pass to the north And that will already give me the nitrogen I need. It will give me the sulfur and even the coal. I can use this one. I don't remember how much coal I needed. Then regarding the oil, I can use one of these impure nodes that give 150. But the thing is, how do I take it to the desert? I have no idea. I don't want to take a bolt. I'm through that phase of connecting everything with a bolt. But a train is kind of silly. It's a really short distance. I think that maybe a pipe would be the best decision, but I don't know how to carry only one pipe a long distance and make it look cool, because I like making things look cool. But maybe I could attach that pipe to my railway. So that would mean that I could place my power plant on this sector. And then the main thing that I would be missing is water. I need a lot of water. And this creek is already, I can't place more water structures over here. So I feel like I will be packaging and unpackaging the water maybe from this place. I already have a belt bus, so I could carry it all the way up to here. Because pipes is going to be a disaster for this distance, especially because I need to take water to several machines, and I don't want liquid dynamic issues. So let's, for the time being, say we will place it on this zone, take this coal, this sulfur, this nitrogen. The nitrogen, I don't know, maybe I could take it up pipe or package and unpackage, I don't know. And the oil, I will try to set up a pipe, or well, we'll see what happens. At least I know where I'm gonna locate it. Let's start with the oil. Here I'm in front of an impure node. This is all I need. And I'm thinking, well, let's try a pipe. We take this oil, we raise it to that railway support, and then we take a pipe through all of those to where we will be doing our factory. So it sounds like a plan. Let's go for it. It wasn't that bad, and I think it looks pretty cool. And I already kind of planned for the future, because with this frame over here, you can easily carry 4 pipes, and we have 4 nodes. So I placed one hole over there, but in the future the idea is I can take the 4 of them. And building it was a little bit annoying. As you can see, you can get with a pipe from one place to the other. But if you wonder how I did that, let's build one right next to it. Let's suppose I want to build this one. You start with a beam over there, one click on top of it, and you point it on the same place on the other one, even if the beam doesn't get to that place. And that's all you need. Then you can carry a pipe up to there. You remove the beam, you remove the support, and well, I did it incorrectly in this one because it doesn't reach. But well, that's the idea, you get it. I should have placed the support a little bit more to the left. But well, that's how I made it, and right now I have pipes going to my desert mega factory. We already have the oil. Now let's continue with the next step. Back in the desert mega factory, this zone is where all of the magic will happen, somewhere around this place. And what do we have? We have 5 refineries going into 4 blenders, going into 4 blenders. To avoid having fluid dynamic issues, the best thing to do is one-to-one connections. So I will underclock everything a little bit, and I will do 8 refineries, 8 blenders, and 8 blenders. And place them somewhere around here. Let's go. Here we have our first approach. We have our 8 refineries, 8 blenders, and the other row of 8 blenders. Now, some things to note. I added this water tower over here, but this is completely unnecessary. This was just to make something that looks cool. Why is that? This usually helps with head lift and to apply pressure down to avoid fluid dynamic issues, but the oil is actually coming from a higher place. So this makes no difference. And the buffer itself, it also doesn't help. As a matter of fact, I don't know if it makes things worse. If we go here, check that out, it's filling and draining. I already powered on the oil extractor because I want to do a full pressure startup so that when I start the factory all of the pipes are already full. And the oil extractor has already stopped, but still we see some fluctuations over here. And I think that that's mostly because of the industrial fluid buffer. So well, this was just a crazy idea because I think it looks nice. And now another thing I wanted to mention is if you check, I connected the refineries a weird way. Now, if we talk about fluid dynamics, this is a risky place where we have one generator of fluids, in this case the oil extractor, and we want to divide it between several consumers, in this case 8 refineries. Because you might get the case where one of them is being prioritized over the other one, and the fluids don't exactly go 50% and 50% to each side, and that's bad. But by connecting them this way, you can check that the distance from the fluid buffer to each of these refineries is exactly the same. These junctions are always in the middle. So for the oil, it's exactly the same doing this path and going, I don't know, to that refinery, that doing this path and going to that refinery over there. It's exactly the same length. And this is something that the game actually checks. It's the resistance of a pipe. I made the train is noisy, right? I should move. I have a video about fluid dynamics that I made an experiment to prove this concept. It's not that it's necessary, and it wouldn't work if I connected it as most people do, but this way of connecting it, it's a little bit more safe. A little bit safer. I need to learn. English is hard. So well, we already have the refineries and the blenders, but I only connected one thing, and we need to connect several more. So now I will work to make all of the other connections. Connections are done. As usual, I will be packaging and unpackaging. So on this first row of blenders, we've got 8 water unpackagers connected in a 1-to-1 ratio. And I'm merging all of the empty canisters. In this case, they are going that way because water will be coming from there. And we have a load balancer over here. That would be the input. And they will eventually be coming that way. Same thing for the nitrogen gases. Yes. We've got 8 unpackagers sending the nitrogen down to the blenders, and in this case the nitrogen will be coming from that way because I think it will end up coming from over there. And same thing over here, we have a load balancer for all of the canisters. And I also made a load balancer over here for both of the solids that these blenders require, which are sulfur and coal. So most of the connections are done for this stage. Now, what's next? I think that we could continue with the coal generators, which is actually funny. It will be the first coal generators I place in this world, because I'm only powered by turbo fuel right now. And the first coal generators won't be processing coal, they will be processing compacted coal. But well, stuff that happens. I need to place 10.5, so I'm guessing I will be doing 12, somewhere around this zone. Let's go. Well, I started building it and I realized I was doing nonsense, because these are power generators. I have no problem overclocking power generators, so let's overclock them a little bit. Anyway, just to start with, I decided to modify a little bit the diagram. I will be storing less compacted coal and I will be burning more. So I've got 87.5 that I want to send to coal generators. So if we go and check one of these, the burn rate for compacted coal is 7.143. And no, it's not automatically updated. If I change this, it will still say the same number, which is kind of annoying. But well, it's 7.143 at 100%. 7.143. And we know that we can overclock them up to 2.5. So that means that they can consume from 7.14 to 17.85. Those are the ranges we have to work with. And we have 87.5 compacted coal. So if I want to place 4 coal generators, no, I can't get to that number. But if I want to place 6, that's 14.58333 per coal generator, meaning with all of that math that I can only place 6. So I will be placing 6. We are done with this segment of the factory. Only 6 coal generators. I already did the math and it ended up being that number. And same for the water extractors. Another weird number. And well, the same thing I've been doing. They are connected to in a 1-to-1 ratio. We've got a load balancer over here. And we are merging all of the empty canisters that way. And here is where the compacted coal comes from. And it's connected to the last stage of our blenders. Here I'm merging all of the compacted coal. And we have this weird thing. Because we are creating 100 and we want to send only 87.5 to our coal generators. So these two are mergers. This one is a splitter that's sending half that way and half that way. So we had 100, over here we have 50. Then we are sending half that way, meaning we have 25. And then we are sending half that way and half that way, meaning over here we have 12.5 and over here we have the 87.5 that is going to our coal generators. And the remaining goes to a smart splitter, sending everything to my storage and the overflow to a sink. And over here we can see that I prepared 3, one for the compacted coal, one for the polymer resin, and one for the rocket fuel. Already connected to the dimensional depot loader and overflow protected. So far so good. Am I going too fast? I don't know. I think I'm not. But let me know in a comment if I'm going too fast. Now let's continue. We have these refineries that are producing rubber. So 2.19, I will probably place 3. And I think that I can continue this segment, place the 3 refineries over here. But well, before that, I'm gonna search in my spreadsheet if I'd rather have rubber or plastic. Maybe I need plastic more than rubber. I have no idea. But it's going to be 3 refineries and we are going to do the same thing. This is starting to look cool. I check on the spreadsheet. I rather have plastic than rubber, so I switched it to plastic. That meant 1 less refinery, so we only have 2 refineries. Everything is the same, water and packages, 1-to-1 ratio, blah 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 blah. And the polymer resin is coming from our first stage, the one that does the heavy oil residue. And this division I'm doing right here is exactly the same division that I did over there. So we start with 100, here we have 50, here we have 25, and this one splits into 2, giving us 12.5 on this place. That goes to a smart splitter, sending everything to our dimensional depot and the overflow to a new merger that takes it to our sink. So we are almost done. Well, not almost done, but progress has been made. Now, I don't want to get to the part of the fuel generators. I hate them. So let's do everything we can and leave that for the last. So the last stage that we have would be packaging our rocket fuel. We've got 8 blenders, 4 that will be packaged and 4 that will be unpackaged. So let's focus on these 4. And ideally, I would like to package them somewhere around this place because we are already close to the dimensional depot and to the sink that handles the overflow. So I will be doing that. And here we have it. Now let me bore you a little bit. I have no clue about how gases work. This is the first time I deal with gases. So I tried to Google, I tried to search some information. Do gases work the same way as liquids? And the only thing I found is that they don't need pumps. But I didn't find nothing about, are we going to have the same issues as we have with fluid dynamics? And I didn't want to start a big project without knowing. So, well, as there was no information out there, no specific information like a geek like me enjoys, I went for the same approach I did with liquids. I have a good knowledge about fluid dynamics, and I got all of that about studying liquids in real life. I just searched how they behaved, and then I did some experiments in the game to see if the same rules applied, and they did. So, well, I did some research about gases, and apparently gases behave the same way as liquids in real life, I mean. Only with some extra rules, because gases can be compressed and gases can expand. So if Coffee Stain went so much work to make liquids behave the real way, I am assuming they did the same way with gases, so I will treat them as if they were liquids. Maybe this is all of an exaggeration, but I don't know. I don't want to start a big project and then get it wrong. So I will treat gases as if they were a liquid, only that I won't be placing pump. That's the reason why I didn't merge these 4 pipes, because each one of these is carrying 75. I could have merged them, but I wouldn't do that on liquids because it might bring issues, and 1:1 or 1:2 ratios are better. So we have 4 separate pipes, and I'm carrying them through these supports. That it's a blueprint I made that I'm probably going to erase later. It's a temporal blueprint. And I'm taking these 4 pipes, each one to 2 unpackagers, because I didn't want to overclock. And as I usually do, I kept the resistance equal for both paths, so there's a junction exactly in the middle. All of these might be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm over-exaggerating. But well, I think that this approach is safe. So, well, we can see that 4 blenders are being divided into 8 packagers. These 8 packagers are being fed by a load balancer that comes here from the middle, and it's fed by 3 constructors. These are the constructors that are going to be creating the empty fluid tanks. I will be burning 150 aluminum ingots. That hurts because I don't have that much, but I have 190, so I will be using almost all of them. And then the outputs are all of them being merged over here. And then we have a smart splitter that is sending everything to our storage container and the overflow to our sink. So now there's no postponing it. I need to focus on the fuel generators. I think I did everything else. I'm checking the diagram. Yes, the only thing that remains is the fuel generators. I did a calculation similar to what I did with the coal generators, because I don't want to merge this pipe. I will treat them as 4 individual systems. And overclocking, the number that I ended up having is 8 fuel generators for each blender. How I'm going to do that a tidy way? Anyway, it's not that much. It's 32 fuel generators. Still, that's a lot of machines, big machines. So, well, I have to place 32 fuel generators, maybe around this zone. I don't know. We'll see what I come up with. Well, that was some fun to build. I really feel that they should create a MK2 fuel generator that accepts more fuel, because if not, it's the only challenge of doing this is placing a shit ton of fuel generators, and they are all quite overclocked. Not at full, it ended up being a weird number, but that's the number I need. I even made a post on Satisfactory QA talking about this, and I was treated like a noob, and I got explained that you can overclock machines. But well, I did the same philosophy with pipes I've been doing, considering the pipe resistance. So the length of pipe from each of these fuel generators to the blender, it's always exactly the same. Because as you can see, I'm doing the divisions always halfway through. And now we've got our 8, 16, 32 happy fuel generators, and everything is connected. What's the next step? I need to start focusing on all of the inputs of this factory, which will be kind of tedious because I will be taking the nitrogen. It was somewhere from around this place, the sulfur around here, and the water from around here. So, huge task at hand. Let's go. Finished with the connections. I had to extend my belt bus. I took it over part of our power plant, and it's also going on top of my railway and connecting over there. So let's, for example, follow this side, which is carrying the nitrogen, the coal, and the sulfur. As you can see, it's really long. Over here we have our first division. I'm taking the coal from an impure node that is over there. And I also started using MK3 miners, so I had to change the encasing. There's a new one. You can find it on my GitHub repo. That is if I don't forget to add it, but hopefully I will. And then the belt bus comes through this valley. I really like how it looks. And I'm taking the sulfur from over there. And over here I made a small packaging station. For the time being I only needed 2 packagers. At the beginning I really messed up. I'm used to liquids, and on liquids usually the amount of liquid is equal to the amount of packaged liquid. So as I needed 300 nitrogen, I started making 300 packaged nitrogen gas. And this was like 8 or 10 packages. And then I checked my math and I said, oh, I'm a dum-dum. And all over here comes the nitrogen. I didn't like that you can't power this individually. You have to power all of them, because I'm currently only using one. That means that the max consumption and the consumption won't match. And in the future, when I end up using all of them, they will depend on one power grid, on this case the power grid of the power plant. And I like dividing those, but well, it's not such a big deal. Now let's go and check the packaged water. So the packaged water comes from this place, and the moment I started building this, I really regret having placed the coal generators, because most of the water I need is for the coal generators that barely produce any power. And I couldn't fit all of the power in one belt, so that meant 2 belts, aka 4, for the empty canisters and the packaged water. Look at this is already starting to get a little messy. I had to add that one, that one, that one, and that one. Mostly because of the stupid coal generators that I don't know why I placed. I could have just stored that compacted coal. Maybe I use it in the future. I don't know. So this segment of the belt bus is new, and it goes all the way down to yet a new segment of my mega factory. And yeah, well, here is where I'm packaging all of the water with load balancers and all of the fancy shenanigans I usually place. Almost made it. Ouch. So what's next? Almost everything is done. Now I'm only missing the power connections. That usually takes some time, and then just decorating. And probably a lot of troubleshooting because there are pipes, and when you have pipes, weird stuff happens. But well, let's finish this power plant. And there you have it. Check that beauty. Everything is working at 100%. Luckily, I didn't face any fluid dynamic issues, but you never know because I just turned it on like a couple of hours ago, so you might get those a couple of years from now. But for the time being, everything is working, and I'm really glad. What's really the best part of this is check this power. I've got plenty of juice to play with. So regarding decoration, I did basically what I've been doing. I don't think there's nothing new. As usual, I'm placing decorative belts with all of the inputs and the outputs. I changed a little bit how I do these platforms. Usually I only place 1 meter floors, but I think that placing some frames underneath makes it look a little bit better. So I will probably be doing that from now on. Then, well, I don't know, I made a little roof for the outputs and the sink. Some power storage every now and then. Anyway, in power plants, power storage don't make much sense. The idea how I use power storage is I put them individually on each factory so that if they get disconnected from the grid, they will still work for at least 1 hour. But as this is a power plant, it can work indefinitely if I disconnect it from the grid. So yeah, I just placed some over there and that made me happy. And well, I ended up placing everything too close to each thing, so it ended up being a little cramped up. But I'm happy with the result. I think that was the main sign over here. We are producing 1.8 gigawatts, almost 1.9. And I did something that I shouldn't have. I'm starting to differentiate to that word both power grids, because I have a balanced power grid, the one that my whole world is, and a balanced one, the one from the trains, that eventually will have all of the other machines. And at the beginning I thought, well, let's spread it half and half, but I didn't want. I wanted to have all of the power all together. But well, maybe in the future I remove some of the generators from here and place them on the other grid, the one that has the trains. Because when I put a particle accelerator, all of my trains will die immediately. So yeah, that's basically it. Looking pretty good. I also added a lot of lights. I think this is the segment of the factory that has the most amount of lights. So it looks pretty good, but it destroys my frame rate. Maybe I need to start lowering the resolution of the game. I have everything at max, but Mega Factory plus night plus lights, it's kind of tough on the computer. I don't know if you can tell on the video, but playing, yes, this is really low. I'm at 44 frames right now, and if I make it day, I'm at 84, 90. That's kind of a change. So yeah, I've got a power plant. On the water packaging sector, I didn't do much, to be honest. It's just a big rectangle. But at least I placed some glass in the middle so you can see the fishes, if we had a fishes. So yeah, here's where the water is being packaged. And here's where I'm packaging the nitrogen. I left extra space because there's more nitrogen over there. Anyway, I think it won't be enough and I might have to make it bigger. But well, it's a starting point. And I also made some stairs, so you can climb there if you are bored with your life, because you never use the stairs, they are decoration. So yeah, that wraps up the factory for today. And that wraps up our video for today. Check this belt bus, it's getting scary. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please remember to support the channel by leaving a like or a comment. Even if you don't know what to comment, let's discuss what's your relationship with fuel generators. I feel like they are extremely balanced and good for the early game. That would be fuel, maybe turbo fuel. But at this stage, rocket fuel or onwards, it starts to become a little bit silly. Just plopping a lot because they barely consume any fuel. And I feel like they should invent a late game fuel generator, MK2, that just accepts double or quadruple the fuel. Make it hard to build, make it expensive, but don't make us have to do, well, here I have 32 fuel generators that are overclocked. It would be like 72, I think, or 74. It just makes no sense. What about you? What do you think about fuel generators? Join me in my rant. I will be leaving in the comments the link to Satisfactory QA. So if you also think that fuel generators suck, you can leave an upvote there so that the devs ignore us, because they always do. Hope you guys had an amazing week, and I'll see you on the next one.